It is beginning here. Just looking at the lineups, pretty standard, no substitutions. Everyone's bringing their A game, everyone's bringing their A roster.
It's like you bring your B game just for fun, just for kicks. Now everything's looking pretty stock standard. In fact, Hong Kong Attitude, if it weren't for the fact that Macau is hovering over this Widowmaker, this would almost be Season 1 play here between CQB and Mango Jai. And I mean, it's incredible play, don't get me wrong. But of course, the Widowmaker, it's too good to pass up, right?
I want to say all of Taiwan in Contenders is being represented in this very match right now. So
would you look at that?
That's something to consider. The rest of the Taiwanese members that still remain as we open things out. Blue versus Macau.
Yep, speed boost out. They pop over to the Mercy. Again, the Ray's very, very good. Too good to pass up. Oh, nice catch onto Oyo. They really want to be contesting one, though. Ting and 10-10 getting pressured, but staying topped off. Nice catch on Nexus as well. And between those two picks there, Rez does come through onto Oyo, but Hong Kong Attitude have been able to take the positional advantage now.
And Oyo does manage to get that roll. He gets himself resurrected back in point. Hasn't quite unlocked, but it is Hong Kong Attitude that have control so far. And expect them to be jumping out at any moment, and the count will complete.
That gives them a very nice, sturdy start, especially when you consider one on that Farah now has to take very safe angles while still trying to rain damage down into this courtyard. And Hong Kong Attitude, if the heat gets too hot, you just back up to the point.
Currently forcing the fight, or at least pushing Nova Esports into the indoor sections. As Hong Kong Attitude is doing this, Nova can't affect the point in any shape or form. There's no objective pressure there. And this is good for Hong Kong Attitude. They don't need to go back to the point. They can control the positioning of Nova Esports, and so far only one trade back.
Yeah, it is a good trade back though. It keeps things even, but with Crazies going down, they're able to keep 10-10. Well, not quite actually. They don't preserve the mech. This is now actually an opening for Nova. The unfortunate part is that one is still so, going down to Shailin as well. I mean, the pressure from Macau is enough. Until Nova can unlock one, they're never going to get any headway here.
And Nova need to really wrap themselves around to the control point right now. This is going to force Hong Kong Attitude to kind of react to that movement. And currently, they're just playing this game where they're kind of avoiding Hong Kong Attitude, but Hong Kong Attitude are not looking to avoid them.
Just going right on in. Again, finding them in these tight spaces. This time, though, Shailin gets a little punished for it. Now they are starting to unlock one. They've been able to keep him out of the sightlines of Macau, and now that he's on the point, and a Ting and Shailin can't get the extra damage on him, he's safe enough that they're able to cap the point. Wraps around the side as well for a rocket barrage, just to seal the deal, and Nova have control.
Pulls 10-10 towards the point as well. D-Max 10-10. Hong Kong Attitude don't quite have enough members consolidated together to make an aggressive play onto the point. And that recap, or rather that flip of the point, so important for Nova Esports, who, by the way, sitting on 4 ultimates while Hong Kong Attitude are still busy charging away. And for Nova right now, they're going to start the next fight soon to cash in on that advantage.
You almost wonder what happened. Hong Kong Attitude should have had a much bigger lead than they did by then, but the ultimates went wide. There we go, that's a good start, but if he gets knocked off the edge, able to save himself. That was nearly the most rough way a Transcendence can possibly go. You're just glowing, descending into the abyss. Speaking of Transcendence, Oyo not able to use his in time, and now Nexus getting pressured down. Crazies pops the Valkyrie just a hair too late, and Hong Kong Attitude gonna barrel back onto the point and retake it in pretty convincing fashion. That's the important fight for Nova to have won, because that's the one that secures your time on the point, secures more defense. Losing it back to Hong Kong Attitude is really unfortunate.
And Nova Esports, they popped 3 ultimates there. Primarily, they had the Primal Rage in as well. Specifically, we saw onto Mango Jai. But Hong Kong Attitude were not deterred. They managed to stay alive, specifically keep the Transcendence into play as well, wrap themselves onto the point, collect the kills. And Nova Esports, despite investing 3 ultimates, didn't get enough kills, didn't get enough trades. That was a very easy recap for Hong Kong Attitude.
Pulse Bomb goes wide from Shailin, but they're pushing the 90% as long as they keep this fight off the point. They threaten just capping out altogether. Nova are the ones who have the answer. Nova are the ones who have to get to the point. Now they move in, there's the wrap around, but Nexus is already dead by the time Oyo arrives, and he just gets run down in his own right. The trade back on a Ting is just not enough here. Hong Kong Attitude poised to close out. One nearly got it started, but that's all he gets. And they're going to cap the point out. Hong Kong Attitude looking to secure Night Market, get 1-0 up on the board on Lee Jung Tower.
Too easy for Shailin as well, just wraps around the back, collects himself, 2 kills, 1 onto the Pharaohs, or trying to save that cap for Nova Esports, or at least start the comeback. Tries to go for a barrage, gets shut down immediately, and Macau and Shailin between those 2 players. pick up the kills. Hong Kong Attitude, once they got control of that point, again, they did not lose it. But the middle section was a little bit difficult. They had some hurdles to get over there. Nova Esports did manage to get that recap at the 66% mark for Hong Kong Attitude, but ultimately couldn't find the game-winning condition to close out Night Market. We're on to now Gardens. Nova Esports need to find how to win this, and it could be with the Widowmaker Jewel again. We need to see a little bit more out of Juan and Tafara as well, but Macau's been hitting the shots.
5, 4, 3.
Now they only need to secure that one more. Very achievable. Nova, they're sticking with this one. They're sticking with the Pharaoh. On Gardens, it has a little bit more success, generally speaking, but you could say the same, really, of Night Market. There's a lot of ways it can work, and they didn't quite get any of those going for themselves. So Hong Kong Attitude just looking to kind of play to the same beats here, and ideally, it'll work twice.
Hong Kong Attitude have the spacing to work with as well. As soon as Nexus was low, and he was low for a long time, backs up, opens their back line. Oyo goes down, Blue goes down, and Ting gets traded, but ultimately it's Hong Kong Attitude that come out ahead. Yeah,
that's the thing. They were able to commit a res onto a Ting themselves. Oyo going down again. Shailen did die there, but Hong Kong Attitude have maintained a numerical advantage. Nova are on the cap here, but Hong Kong Attitude are going to be able to dislodge them pretty handily, it's looking like. Drill down Nexus. Now it's just Cheeky, the lone tank. Doesn't really have any support there. You saw Crazies flying away on the back of one, and Hong Kong Attitude going to secure this point again.
They finally secured the point for the first time, actually, and that's because Nova Esports didn't quite leave that cap.
Oh, I mean, like second time in a row, because they secured it on Night Markets. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. That's correct. Technically, that's correct. And for Nova Esports, though, it's an attempt to try and stop that cap. Ultimately, a fruitless one. They lose their members anyway. Trying to keep up on Ultimate Charge right now, but so far it has been the tank line, it has been that front line that's been winning out big for Hong Kong Attitude. Nexus shut down twice in a row at the start of fights.
Hong Kong Attitude, all these ultimates at their disposal. The Infrasight has run out, the Pulse Bomb did go wide, but Shailin gets a pop on Oyo anyway, and Nexus does go down. They did at least close out on Shailin. They've got a window here, but lacking in those tanks means it's really just the supports of the DPS. They're going to have to get a big rack of kills, and a Ting and Tenten have all the stall tools they need, not even going to need them. They're just going to be able to close off on Blue and One, and that takes the wind out of that offense for Nova.
So proactive from Hong Kong Attitude as well. You see Shailin finds the initiative, gets a kill into Oyo, drops a Pulse Bomb. The Pulse Bomb might not have gotten himself a kill, but does enough damage overall for him to really pressure Nexus out, who dies anyway. By the time Shailin goes down, the damage was done.
Shailin, low but not dead, as again Oyo gets popped at the top of the fight, has to commit the res on. Now that's not available if they lose one of those tanks. Transcendence out of Mango Jai. They certainly feel threatened here. Shiki's going to have to reset this mech, though, with the self-destruct, and is very vulnerable for a moment. Nexus as well going to have to pop a Primal Rage. That very much forces the issue. They have to go for the point now. They knocked Mango Jai off the edge and had already got an early pick. Yeah, nice fly by 10-10, but Nexus has already done the work. This should be enough for them to count the point back in their own right here, Nova, as they close out on 10-10. The point now belongs to Nova.
A well play there for Nexus, who had a tough time in the opening couple of fights. You even noticed at the start of this fight, Shiki was the one pressured out, ultimately demexed so quickly. Nexus clutches it through a Primal Rage. 10-10 attempts to get some counter trades, not enough for Hong Kong Attitude.
Now Nova, they have control. Oh!
Macau's so good at this right now. He's finding these kills so early, so quickly.
Luckily they have a res, but again it forces that res. So one pulls out the Dragon Blade, but it's not at the ideal time anymore. Gets a Ting, but that tempo got a little bit disrupted. It gave Hong Kong Attitude a window. Luckily for Nova, though, they've been able to slam that window back shut. 10-10 demexed. They're just going to leave the Baby Diva. Going to have to take a dive off the edge there. Could be a little bit dangerous for one. Smart to not go too deep here. Nova trying to press the advantage.
Too deep.
Yeah, too deep. Didn't back up in time. Didn't respect that a Ting was still alive. And now the window is reopened.
We'll see if Nova can recover from this one. It's been Macau getting those opening picks again. This is part of the recovery by stopping a Ting who can get the res, so if CQB can get in there, maybe Hong Kong Attitude have still got the advantage.
Nice bomb from Shailin, kills Nexus, runs it into Shiki. They haven't been able to finish off Shiki just yet. Mainly, getting him to reset the mech, that's what's happening there. Blue gets picked, so Hong Kong Attitude still very much in this as the sound barrier runs out. One finds himself down, trained under Shailin's dual pistols there. As Hong Kong Attitude back on the point now, should have no trouble wresting control back, and they're going to do so at 94%. It's not looking likely that Nova will be able to hold on here.
And 94% means there's only 6 seconds available for Nova Esports to attempt to get back onto this point. It'll be difficult, especially with Mikal still picking up kills.
Yeah, I thought that was a stick there onto one. Luckily it wasn't. It means he gets to dive onto the point, at least allow for overtime, but they're just too lean on members to make this overtime count for anything. Nexus will be able to stall for a while. It's just 2 angry monkeys on the point. Everyone, calm down.
They need one to get back up here. He might still be able to get a Dragon Blade, but Nova have to keep the point alive. One himself needs to stay alive, and he still needs 11%.
And Crazy's dying means they can't keep Shiki topped off anymore. That means he loses the mech, and it just starts to slide the way of Hong Kong Attitude. Blade rejoins though, got Shaolin now with the Blade. No, not enough. Mikal again, a great pick with this Widowmaker. He has done so much work on that 10-10 self-destruct. It was forced out by the Pulse Bomb, but it also forced Nova off the point, and with it, Hong Kong Attitude take Lijiang Tower.
We're starting to see now a little bit of a trend when we look at these control maps. Hong Kong Attitude with the definite lead in the middle there. Nova Esports do have a bit of a comeback, but it's just not quite enough. Hong Kong Attitude always have the ability to close out the map where Nova cannot, and that's what makes the difference ultimately. 2-0, didn't even get to see the third map, no control center. That would have been the spicy one. That would have been the one where maybe for Nova Esports, if they have a good tank composition, if they have a good Goats comp, that's where they maybe come back in. But you have to wait till Hybrid to see that one.
Yep, unfortunately for them, and that does mean that Hong Kong Attitude get to take the lead in the series. So it means Nova are on the back foot again. I mean, I say again, it almost feels like they were on the back foot from the start. We favored Hong Kong Attitude coming into this. This is exactly why. It's not just the great Tracer play from Shaolin. It's not just the great Widow play from Mikal. It's the whole package, the ability to just out-execute at every juncture. And you're right. It's in a situation where, unfortunately, Nova haven't been able to play their favorable comps. If that's enough of a weakness that Hong Kong Attitude can take maps off them, then it was never going to be looking good from the start.
And it's going to be difficult to take Hong Kong Attitude to either King's Row or Eichenwalde here, because you have a scenario where Mikal has been so deadly onto the Widowmaker. He's been the prime factor. So many of the opening picks did come from him. A couple of them did get rezzed up by the side of Nova Esports. And that's part of the recovery process, but the fact that they have to go into recovery so quickly is part of the issue. They never start these fights on the right foot. They always start behind, and they have to be the ones to try and crawl back into a neutral state. That's not where you want to be if you're Nova. You want to start good. Exactly.
On the whole, it does feel like Nova have all the bits and pieces in place, but for the most part, they're just getting out-executed. The fact that it's not necessarily, big ultimates getting value or lacking in macro play or anything like that. A lot of the time, it's just Shaolin gets picks where, unfortunately, the damage on the other side doesn't get them, and same with Mikal. That's been a lot of the difference maker. You see a Ting and Shiki getting low, but you see Nexus and a Ting rather and 10-10 getting low, but it's Nexus and Shiki who are getting picked. So as we move forward to King's Row, we do need to see a bit of a step up in the execution from Nova.
I do want to say the combination of Mikal and Shaolin is so good, specifically when you look at Shailin's hero pool. The man can play a lot of different DPS classes. He's got himself the Tracer, we've seen that, but also the Genji is a really big pick as well. Part of this meta currently revolves around Widowmaker, and a lot of it is also what do you run with the Widowmaker to be successful. Genji's starting to be a very good pick here. Shailin's got himself a Genji. He's got himself a Hanzo as well, so they can run a double sniper. He's got a plethora of other projectile picks, and then we haven't even touched on the fact that he played last season as a flex tank. So Hong Kong Attitude can really just bring out a lot of different options.
That's the thing. I mean, Shaolin just makes a perfect fit for a Brigitte if they need to run something like that, if they need to take a Goats comp out.
Perfect jack of all trades.
Exactly. And the best part is he's a master of a few of them too. I mean, you already see him here on the Junkrat. This meta is really helping them out because you can keep Mikal on that Widowmaker knowing full well that Shaolin will fit in whatever else you need. And by the way, that doesn't mean Mikal is a Widow one trick. If Widow does not fit the situation, Mikal himself has a very deep pool. That's why he was main damage on Season 1's Hong Kong Attitude roster.
Yeah, he's got that McCree that we've seen before as well. He himself also plays a Tracer, so the hit scans strong with this one. But for Nova Esports, going to start things out. Nexus onto the Rhine. Blue, maybe the big swap here. I'm not expecting Winston and Ryan. That'd be a little bit weird, but
yeah,
they're going to try and make it work.
Doomfist solo DPS. We've seen something like this earlier today, actually. It was, I believe, Xavier pulling it out where they had a solo Doomfist DPS. Didn't work out for them, but it's obviously a strategy these teams are trying out, so let's see if it works for Nova.
The real big question here, what does Nexus really do? He's going to be attempting to pressure this point while the fight begins onto the high ground. Now some Hong Kong Attitude want to go into the low ground, but as they do that, a Ting and Macau just pick members up.
And that's the thing, the spam damage is there for Hong Kong Attitude. It really makes short work of Nexus and One when they are sitting ducks like that on the point. It's smart to try and pressure Hong Kong Attitude down while there's kind of a half dive going up on the high ground, but it's a very tenuous thing.
Yeah. Well, it's exactly that. It's a half dive because one of your tanks, Nexus, can't contribute to that. He can only play into the ground, which means he's starting to cap the point. But are you trying to cap the point or are you trying to cap the fight? You're doing 50-50 of both, and neither one of them is really that good.
That's a little rough. Blue misses his dive. Shiki, he does go up, but he goes up alone. One gets picked, and that's the thing. That's the razor's edge that this thing rides on. This time, though, Blue getting the nano boost is able to commit to Shaolin, takes the tire off the table. Now diving onto Macau. This is also going to collect Mango Jai. This is what they were looking to do the first time around. And even then, it came close to not working because one got picked off. But now that it has, you kind of see it in action. Leaves Hong Kong Attitude, leaves the defender with very little options. Do you deal with the dive? Do you commit to the point? Well, pick one.
Well, the thing is, at least with the dive for Nova Esports, they were able to pick out Shaolin reasonably early, and then the nano boost came on through. That was kind of the X factor for this push that really pushed Blue just a little bit further to collect a few more extra kills. I will still say, though, Nexus on the Ryan is still weird. He didn't really do that much. Sat on the point, capped it out. Felt mostly like a 5v6 that Nova was forced to win.
Now Hong Kong Attitude, they have tools here that they can take a pretty forward defense. They've got a self-destruct that can create space. They've got a Riptire, and that's coming out now that if they can connect on, will do a lot of work. No, a bit too deep. Could have actually committed it to D-Mech Shiki, but wanted more. Doesn't get anything.
Trent's going to come through for Mango Jai here as well. So the Hong Kong Attitude side going to try and push things forward. They need to stop this cart, though. It's going to be 10-10 with a self-destruct going in on an Oyo.
And that's just enough. Killing Nexus after the Earth Shadow went out and Oyo down to the self-destruct. It creates the advantage that Hong Kong Attitude need. They're going to get a couple more kills. That means they've made the defense happen. They had to really dig deep for it, though, and I think that took them a bit by surprise.
Part of the good news about this composition for Hong Kong Attitude so far is Shaolin staying on the Junkrat. Means this ground game is going to work very well for Hong Kong Attitude, and they've scaled such that because Macau is also onto the McCree, if Nova Esports want to bring out something like a Farah again to try and counter a Ting onto the ground, that's been dealt with as well. Deadeye ready to go.
Self-destruct forward to make space, catches CQB in Macau, who is trying to hide in the bookstore. And with that, Nova can just start charging on forward. Good charge in from a Ting, but he is going to trade his own life for it. So Nova, they've got the payload moving regardless. Now it's just finishing off these last few members.
It's a decent slowdown, though. The cart wasn't really that far forward just yet. This is going to mean that Hong Kong Attitude get to regroup for this final defense phase onto B before the cart reaches its terminal. For Hong Kong Attitude, still coming up on some important ultimates. We are still looking at Shaolin with that tire. That's going to be very key. Couldn't quite land it last time. Is going to need to land it this time if Hong Kong Attitude want defense.
Nova do still have some good ultimates at their disposal. Hong Kong Attitude just coming up on a few, but here's the window. One finds Macau, takes the Deadeye out of the picture. A Ting going down on the front line, and One is able to carve up the remainder of the back line as the cap goes through. And that was the window Nova had. They dove straight on through it and got the cap for it.
Once again, the Nano just coming out as so clutch. The Nano Blade, something we haven't seen since 2017. I feel like we've certainly gone back in time at the moment. And over Esports, the momentum has continued to push on through. This card distance now is very considerable, and Hong Kong Attitude should be worried. The tire finally comes out.
Again, they do have the tools to slow Nova down, perhaps stop them up altogether, but Macau dying while channeling the Deadeye and Shaolin, yeah, tire going down means actually those tools that Hong Kong Attitude had, they're off the table now. Dragon Strike out from Blue creates a lot of space for this card. Doesn't get any kills, which is a saving grace for Hong Kong Attitude, but they're on full defensive mode now, popping both the Valkyrie and the Transcendence, plus that anti-heal, the Bio Grenade out from Crazies is making it really tough for Mango to do his job. Nice catch, charge barely goes wide, but Mango Jai is dead. Oh, trade back though on Nexus. Shylin, he goes down, but he's maybe done enough work. Nova, they're trying to keep this going. One is making a lot happen here. It feels like they could just do it anyway, despite lacking the tanks. Wow, I didn't think they could do that. It looked like it was just enough kills for Hong Kong Attitude to stabilize, but 1 second amazing Dragon Blade of the match so far. And with that, suddenly Hong Kong Attitude are the ones on the back foot.
And this time he didn't even need the nano boost. 10-10 unfortunately going down just as the grab was nearly there. He was around about 90-something%. Didn't quite have enough damage left, didn't quite have enough life for support left to complete that one for Hong Kong Attitude. He even saw both Shylin and Macau swap onto a Widowmaker and a Farah, but it was Macau that was getting the initial picks in there, slowed down just a little bit as the pressure was starting to mount on him. And for Shylin, I believe that he was a proponent in making sure that it was Nexus missing his charge there, and Rocket or Concussive Blast, one of the two, did come down just in time. Still though, for Hong Kong Attitude, they couldn't stop the blade, they couldn't get their tie off twice in a row. Both of those things are definitely contributors to their loss.
And it's good control by Nova as well. Let's also speak to that side. It's good control to see that tire coming out twice and be able to stop it twice, to see the Deadeye being channeled, have tabs on Macau and shut it down before it can do any damage. It's reading Hong Kong Attitude's macro game and then, like I said, shutting it down. If Nova can continue that, then they're in pretty good standing, but that's the key thing. They need to continue doing that, and there's really no guarantee because Hong Kong Attitude could just start executing a little bit better once again.
We also didn't see enough of a stop-up for Nova Esports by Hong Kong. Take a look at this charge again that just barely missed. Rocket just barely dislodges him, so nice play by Shylin there. But I do want to say,
super clutch.
I do want to say though, for Hong Kong Attitude, just didn't quite stop up that B point enough. They had a minor kind of hold at the start, and then once Shiki's self-destruct came through, it was lights out. You know, it's going to be Hong Kong Attitude's opportunity to attack here. Macau to the Doomfist.
Love it. It's no Mui Doomfist, but Macau's is honestly
his protege, really.
Exactly that. And we get to see the return of Shylin's Genji as well. So this is a full dive compared to the kind of half-half that Nova were running on their offense. It did end up working out. So now let's see if Hong Kong Attitude can dive effectively straight on in up to this high ground to dislodge the initial position. No one dead just yet. Now they can start pressuring the point. Nova gonna have to come down to answer.
Well, the good news is Hong Kong Attitude, like you said, didn't quite lose anybody. Pressuring the point would be correct, but Macau's going to be in trouble if he's not too careful. Shylin with the flank as well. They need to be able to coordinate this as the dive comes through from the tanks and from Macau. Shylin needs to act.
Okay, Macau's been able to back off enough so that he can get topped up. They thought that was the opportunity for Shylin to go in and pinch her, but Shiki read it. They were expecting something to happen. They didn't let themselves get stuck in the trap. It is a good catch onto Blue, but now with Macau down, we're kind of playing, you know, we're in this DPS seesaw as it is, where Hong Kong Attitude aren't quite at full force, but 10-10 pop Shiki, that's a leg up.
I want to say though, if it is a seesaw, Hong Kong Attitude weighing just a little bit more, weighing down the side of their
playground.
But that's really helpful for them right now, and part of the fat kid of the playground is the fact that they have spawn advantage. You see them reinforce so quickly. Now they have control of the point, now they have further picks. 10-10 is on his third.
This is a Riptide from one, though, that can throw a big spanner in the works. No, it doesn't. Macau shuts it down. Trades his own life for it, but they don't mind. They're going to be able to get the point anyway, and Nova haven't actually fully backed off, which means they're now in a vulnerable position. Hong Kong Attitude can move forward, get extra kills, stagger out Nova, create a bunch of space. Even if they don't get kills here, Nova have had to retreat. They've had to concede this ground.
The good news for Nova is one has respawned now, so all 6 members ready to get this defense started. And for Hong Kong Attitude, the cart only just beginning to move. If Nova are quick about this, they can stop this cart near the chokeway of the bookshop. That would be ideal for Nova Esports.
One's only just got back into the fray though, and Hong Kong Attitude, again, Christmas time in the city here, as they've got the full 6 up and available. This means Nova really have their work cut out for them. Shylin in, Ting is actually the one who gets the kills, and Shilo's just keeping one out of the fight on this kind of wild goose chase. Rez committed onto Oyo. Smart call, but they're still behind in numbers as the self-destruct in from 10-10 cuts Blue down, and it doesn't matter that the Transcendence is there from Oyo because he's not keeping anyone topped off. They're all already dead.
Proactive use of the ultimates there as well, cleaning up the remaining members now, and potentially even spawn camping. Look at this final kills, staggered kills even onto Nexus. 5 ultimates cashed in by Hong Kong Attitude, and they're going to receive the reward for that, which is free push. 1 member on it. It's going to be Mango Jai. Kant should be at the stopping point of B very, very soon, and Nova nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, they can't even really get close to this. Ting is still keeping them down. They couldn't get up to the payload, exactly. Free cap altogether. I mean, that was maximum leverage out of those full 6 ultimates, but the smart thing was the follow-up where they've now been able to charge them back up. They're effectively even in this fight happening now. Nova are still very much on the back foot, even making some changes. Blue to Genji and Crazies over to the Ana. Also Oyo onto the Brigitte, so they're playing some compositional catch-up while Hong Kong Attitude are still marching the payload.
And there's a lot to catch up on because right now the Khan is even making its way steadily through that C point. Mango, what that Transcendence has held since B finally comes on through, the members are dead.
Just enough to finish off CQB. Nearly got rescued by that Transcendence. Nova weather the storm there. Finally find a way to beat back Hong Kong Attitude. Was not cheap for them, but now they come into some key ultimates. They only had those tank ultimates at the start of that fight, so lasting that was very important. Now they get to move into that Nano Dragon combo.
It feels like this is when Nova Esports finally have a bit of a defense. B was a bit of a non-factor for them. Hong Kong Attitude, again with a free push. Meteor Strike coming in from 1 now.
He's looking for Mango Jai, and he's going to get him too. There's the dive to follow up. Macau also gets traded out in his own dive. They actually finish off 1, but here's going to be that Nano Blade in from Blue. They're committing to this fight now, Nova, and I think rightfully so. The less time they leave Hong Kong Attitude, the better. The unfortunate thing is they didn't get anything out of Hong Kong Attitude except for the Valkyrie, so that was expensive for Nova.
And that is good news for Hong Kong Attitude. As soon as Shailin, or rather Tintin here, can get this remake, they can come in with these ultimates that they've managed to save up. Some time available for Nova as well. Nexus looking to get this Primal Rage in, and Oil with the rally, starting the fight early.
Good proactivity though from Nexus to take 10-10 off the board, and the rally is there as well. It means that despite the ultimate advantage Hong Kong Attitude have, they're actually at a disadvantage. Yeah, Meteor Strike the heck to base. Gonna swap over to the Widowmaker as well, so they've just kind of undone their own advantage. Nova, very smart play.
Well, Macau wasn't finding too much success anymore. The plays being read, the opportunities being thwarted for where Macau can succeed is probably going to be onto this Widow. Shailin, though, he's going back to base.
This time the proactivity from Hong Kong Attitude gets punished, and Nova, they show that they can react just as well as they can, if you will, proact. Now Nova still on that defense, still with the closer respawns as Hong Kong Attitude again going to have to pull back and lick their wounds. Oh no, stagger out on a team would be brutal here. He had to pop the Primal Rage as well.
Ooh, I mean, he demicked Shiki here, so there is opportunity for Hong Kong Attitude to re-enter this fight, and indeed they pick up that kill, 1 forced to Meteor Strike to safety.
Yeah, by the time he lands back down, a chunk of his members, his tanks have already died. 1 as well, despite the blade gets nothing. Suddenly Hong Kong Attitude find a way to come alive, just finding an opportunity to generate some value through the DMAC on Shiki. It looks tenuous, but it's something, and now they're turning that something into a big something.
Make the best of a bad situation, turn a bad situation into a good one, and now it's getting even better. Crazy's down, Nexus down, Trance is in for Mango Jai, and suddenly Hong Kong Attitude are on the board.
And they've just kept brawling through and through here, barely even resetting from what was previously a lost fight. Stun on 10-10, but he's just keeping Oyo occupied, which means no rally on the defense. 10-10 as well
the cart.
Can reset the mech. Yeah, they need to keep throwing bodies at the cart, and that means Hong Kong Attitude have the upper hand here. As long as they can keep preempting these respawns, Shiki will not get back in the mech. It's not a comparable time. It's a bit over 1.5 minutes less than what Nova were able to do, but critically, Hong Kong Attitude have fully capped, which means they do get to go to time bank.
And Nova Esports just not expecting Hong Kong Attitude to continue that fight. They felt like they had the advantage, and in many cases you'd agree with that, but for Hong Kong Attitude finding opportunity to re-enter, get that DMAC on the Shiki, complete the kill on the Shiki, And suddenly Nova Esports are caught in a really poor spot. More kills come out of Hong Kong Attitude, and Nova Esports cannot stem the bleeding. They bleed out right towards the end. The cart barely stops Hong Kong Attitude. The time is not quite as good as Nova Esports, but it is a full completion. And importantly, they managed to do it without hitting the overtime.
It's a little terrifying though, isn't it? I mean, Hong Kong Attitude, their momentum when they were going was absolutely phenomenal, but it really felt like there was a point there that actually Nova might have been insurmountable. They were getting such high value trades. The proactivity they were using and the execution that was coming with it was making it really hard for Hong Kong Attitude to get underway. It did seem like there was the potential for a full hold for Nova. They're going to have to find a way to repeat some of that success here, run down the short clock that Hong Kong Attitude have.
I want to say that short clock as well, 1 minute 12, kind of means you'd be very happy with a first point cap. In fact, you'd be pretty happy with 2 ticks in there. It's unlikely for Hong Kong Attitude to realistically get much more than that, so for Nova Esports, very defendable. A full hold on A should definitely be on the cards.
It did take them quite a while to cap A the first time around with this exact team comp, Hong Kong Attitude, and they do have to take a bit of time to set up. This is also the most tenebrous part of this attack for them, and there it is. That's exactly why a ting gets popped. The rest of the team is still mid-rotation on the setups. They have to pull back. Luckily, they don't lose members in doing so, but they lose time.
But they don't have room for error here, and exactly because they don't have time. Now at the 30-second mark, they have to re-attempt this push, start from square one. Ultimate's going to be coming online very soon as well. This is definitely going to overtime.
Oh, but one goes down. That's an opening pick that Nova maybe can't afford. They get the damage back onto 10-10, but Macau, oh no, he goes down. That would have been so big if he'd been able to wreak more havoc in the back line, but Shailin's going to be the havoc wreaker. Trades back though. Nova still resetting, still coming back. Oh, Dragon Strike not quite cancelled out, means CQB goes down. Hong Kong Attitude looking thin on the point, but closer respawn. Now Nova trying to dive in. Can they stop this one up? They might still have enough members. Blue swapping to Soldier so he can sprint back to the point, and they pop Macau a second time, but lose Nexus for it. Shiki, oh, he was so nearly back in the mech. The Transcendence would have saved them, but not quite in time, and that means it's suddenly Blue 1 and Crazies with Oyo backing them up that had to do all the work, but it's not happening. Hong Kong Attitude, the respawns were there, so close for Nova, but Hong Kong Attitude are pushing in overtime. One win will stop it for Nova.
And just like their first attempt on the attack for Hong Kong Attitude, it took some time to get A underway, but once it does get underway, let's be reminded of the fact that B was not a very good defense for Nova Esports. They're going to need a much better defense. They need to only win one fight, like you said, but it is still easier said than done. I've seen a lot of teams fail at this.
And they're in a little bit of an unoptimal position, both compositionally and in terms of the macro game. And that's to say nothing of their physical location on the map. They've still got the Soldier on Blue. Far from ideal. They really don't have ultimates at their disposal, whereas Hong Kong Attitude do. You already see the Valkyrie out from CQB. They've got a self-destruct at their disposal. Meteor Strike forward for Macau. He's going Hunter Killer on Oyo. Blue picked off by the dive, and Nova, they need to get kills here. They need to be careful. They're popping what they've got. Nexus Primal Rage. Shiki self-destruct. Oyo does kill Macau. This is an opportunity. Shailen's dead as he pulls out the blade. Mango Giant not quick enough to save him with that Transcendence, and Oyo matches with his own. The ultimates they were lacking at the start of the fight are coming up on rotation for Nova, and they're starting to beat back the inexorable tide of Hong Kong Attitude, even as a Ting swings his mighty arm.
I don't know.
Oh, Crazies went down. Could have popped the Valkyrie to save his face there. Blue with a tactical visor. That's how long it's been since I've seen that ultimate. He's going to go down, stuck on the ground, and Hong Kong Attitude, the inexorable tide, marches on.
And a Ting with that Primal Rage, he continues this fight. He did not go down. Blocks up the tactical visor from Blue as well, who is still onto the Soldier. Might still want to be on the Soldier, switches now onto the Tracer. Either way, he's got to get back on the defense. He's got to do it quickly. Hong Kong Attitude only had 1 minute and 12 seconds, and now they look like they're on the verge of capping the B point.
They may just, but Nova may just be able to stop it again. That was already a better showing in that previous fight than what they've done the initial phase of the B. Oh, Oyo pop, bad start. One's low. Gonna have the Meteor Strike Nexus as well. Gonna have the Primal Rage, and they haven't got the damage down on Hong Kong Attitude, who are reading this situation like a bestseller. Blue pops CQB, and that's the only leg up they've got. And Ting takes one down to the grave with him. Shiki very vulnerable, but they are not quite dead yet. Nova, they have the closer respawn.
Oh, we are not done.
One is so low, but he's still alive. The cap goes through though. Hong Kong Attitude, they get even more. Can you believe it? They may take this to the end if Nova aren't careful.
This is already far too gone. Nova Esports, even if they stop the card now, and they better stop the card, this is getting to a stage where even in their own offense for time back, it may not be enough. Look at where the card is. We're nearly at the end point. See, we're about halfway through now. Hong Kong Attitude still have ultimates to burn. Nova Esports still looking for opportunities.
Nova, where will it come from? Shailin already picks one off. Oh no, what? They left the cart. They all dove. What a daft way to not get the maximum possible distance, I have to say.
Like to keep it interesting, Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah, I will concede
Stay classy.
that is a lot of distance for 1 minute and 12 seconds. It may still be enough anyway, despite that blunder at the end.
That would be an understatement. 1 minute, 12 seconds. You're most likely not even expected to cap out a team who just finishes A, gets the car stopped up on the archway before the bookshop. That would be enough. That would give you some form of defense for your time back to be able to win. This though, this is absolutely crazy. 2 minutes and 48 is not even close to being enough time to go that kind of distance. We've just seen Hong Kong Attitude make it, but I want to say that's a very rare thing to happen.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
But you never know. Maybe Nova can create the same kind of momentum. Maybe they get a cap in one fell swoop and they've just got that extra bit of time. Who knows?
I gotta say, discipline is a key word here. Discipline, not panicking when those situations happen. Yes, point A was capped out. If you're Nova Esports, chill out. Regroup as 6. Find the fight that you are looking for. Engage as a team and play safe. You only need to win one fight. You do not need to give any more away to that attacking team. That's it. Got to play safe, got to play discipline. But Nova Esports, it seems like they kind of freaked out.
It's interesting for Hong Kong Attitude here. Rotating around, they want to cut off the snake as it advances. But it hasn't quite paid off, and now they are in a very suboptimal position. Could get surrounded by Nova here. And I've got to question it a little bit on the tactical sense as well, because even if it had worked, all it would have done is burned a little bit of time off for Nova.
You need to burn a lot of time off, and a little bit is the start of that. The GOAT's composition here, 3 tank, 3 DPS, wants to get interaction fairly quickly, but they've already dropped one of their tanks.
Ooh, Crazies does go down in the dive, and that just removes the extra bit of healing that had been keeping one blue and Nexus topped off. They were getting so low, like it was real nice edge play. They were low, but they were getting headway. Now that that's ended, Hong Kong Attitude just have too much damage for Nova to stand up again.
And I want to say Nova are already behind in terms of ult economy, at least by a little bit here. You suddenly see some ults come online for Hong Kong Attitude. If Nova want to swap, and they are making at least one swap with blue into the Hanzo, it needs to happen right now. With 1 minute 40, they're not going to get another real opportunity where a swap can get them an ultimate. So this has to be what counts, and Hong Kong Attitude are going to be in a space right now where once they get their ultimates, very hard to take down.
And they're just about got those ultimates. Earthshatter is already there. They've already picked Oyo as well.
At 99%, by the way.
This needs to be a quick wipe. And if it's not, Nova need to get ultimates out of Hong Kong Attitude for it. Not going to be so lucky. That was cheap. That was cheap as chips. It was only the coalescence used from Hong Kong
Stagger.
Attitude.
Stagger's going to really suck.
That's gross.
Well. And I didn't even see the Stagger onto blue. That one is equally just unfortunate. Shiki down. I love D-Meg. He likes the Diva kill too. And Nova Esports in a tough spot, but what is available is the Nanoblade. The Nanoblade that won them the A attack on the initial push. They can rely on it again, but they got to go through so much defense from Attitude. A shield bash available, Earthshatter, Graviton Surge, so many things that can just stop one in his tracks. It's not easy.
And that's to say nothing of the rally that's already there. They're not going to be able to get a sound barrier in time, though. They've already popped Shailin, self-destruct from 10-10. He gets back in the mech as well. Sound barrier out now, saves a Ting's skin. But they need to get kills. They need to actually take out the Nova members. They've popped blue, but a Ting's down for it. Nova, oh no, yeah, Mikhail's too high energy. Gets one in before going down. Nova trying to keep this one alive now. They've got the closer respawn. Shiki's going to have to reset that mech. He needs to get back in it. If they lose him, they probably lose their hope. He is the presence on the point for them right now, and it's looking like they'll match Hong Kong Attitude. Cap and overtime. Coalescence now for Mango Jai, trying to keep his team topped off, trying to keep Nova beaten back as Hong Kong Attitude starts to regroup. Nova, they had the closer respawn, but they haven't got the kills. Hong Kong Attitude, how were they allowed to get back onto this point? Look at that, a team back in with the hammer, and Nova are all out of gas. Hong Kong Attitude at breaking point, find a way back in and hold to take King's Row.
And they make the best of both scenarios in time back on their own offense with 1 minute and 12 seconds, get all the way on the C, 2/3 of the way they themselves then unfortunately decide to step off the cart. Don't even need to worry about what that B or C defense has to look like because they complete the A full hold. 2 minutes and 48 was what Nova Esports had to work with. For many teams who can get a very quick offense in there and a successful one, and I want to say Nova Esports in their opening offense did get a decent cap in there. 248 this time around, not quite enough. Once that freight train of GOATs, triple tank, triple supports really gets going, too much healing, too much HP, and unfortunately not enough damage, not enough firepower coming out of Nova Esports. 2-0 now, match point, Hong Kong Attitude.
The reality is that first push in Time Bank was Nova's one opportunity. They didn't get it then. And that means as well, I mean, you revisit Lijiang Tower, right? It was just a difference in execution when push came to shove. Despite having the higher Time Bank, despite having the arguably better main phase, they had a very good defense as well. At the end of the day, Hong Kong Attitude performed more when it counted, and Nova's defense was lacking when it counted. They didn't hold up A, they didn't stop up the cart. In fact, it only ended because Hong Kong Attitude made the mistake of diving off the cart. It had nothing to do with Nova. Heck, it could have been a full cap if that hadn't happened. And then you compare that to Nova at the most important juncture being completely unable to cap point A in the near 3 minutes that they had. Again, difference in execution pays off for Hong Kong Attitude.
And that's the thing, right? Because when you look at that C point for Hong Kong Attitude, small mistake or maybe a large mistake ultimately didn't even matter. It was a foregone conclusion. As soon as Hong Kong Attitude went past that B point, it was all over. Nova Esports unfortunately just could not bring it home, but they're not out just yet. One more opportunity, potentially maps 3 and 4 will come up after this break.